Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Paige Pierce. I really hope you guys are enjoying these videos so far. Round 1 and 2, you saw that we were at Fountain Hills, but now we're headed over to Vista del Camino for round 3 and 4. And the things I'm thinking about changing courses right now are that this course has a lot more par 4s, so there's more scoring opportunity, whether that be birdies or bogeys. This course plays a little bit harder. And there's less water here, but the ground is way faster. So at Fountain, it's like green, shrubby grass that kind of catches your disc. Out at Vista, it's pretty minimal grass. So when it lands, if it has too much speed, it's skipping. So I'm really thinking about speed control, and I'm thinking about capitalizing on these birdies and staying clear from the bogeys. Another thing that I'm thinking about, particularly this morning, somebody stole one of my discs actually leading up to the first tee time. So about 45 minutes before this round, one of my zones got picked up off the practice field, and so I was kind of in a panic. So I went back over to the Disc Golf Strong area and was speaking my frustrations to Seth, and Brian Earhart heard me. He gave me a zone and went back over to the practice field with me so we could get some reps in with it and learn it. And Seth got me warmed up, so it went from a severe panic to severe calm. Let's go. I'm ready for anything. What else can the world throw at me today? So that is kind of the mindset I have leading into this. So let's go see how it went down. Okay, let's get to it. Here we are at Vista, round 3. This round I'm going to be playing with Jennifer Allen, Henna Blumrose, and Rebecca Cox. I shot at 8 under par for the first round and a 7 under par for the second round. I'm looking to stay under par here going into day 3. So up first on hole 1, I'm grabbing my Tour Series Buzz. This is a new disc to my bag. It's a nice complement to the Z Buzz. This one has a little bit more stability. And with the right to left slope on this hole, I do want to aim it a little bit wider. Immediately I'm thinking, not quite that wide, Paige. You can see I tickled the branch on the right side and it took some speed off, and I'm going to find myself outside the circle looking at a 38-footer for hole 1. That one felt so good to make. Just kind of lets me know, okay, today's going to be a good day on the putting green. Already in practice, I felt really good, and it felt awesome to hit that one dead center on that Chainstar Pro and start the round out with a good birdie putt. Moving into hole 2, which is 369 feet. It's a par 3, but it's a little bit on the longer side for par 3s. I want to keep it nice and wide like I did on the first hole, but if I don't pick a disc that stables up enough, it challenges that OB parking lot to the right. So you want to make sure it has a little stability at the end, but not too much, because again, you see that downslope from right to left, and this green is very skippy. So I'm trying to think about landing it softly so I don't get too big of a skip. On this one, I am grabbing my Zeus and aiming wide towards those cars over on the right side of the fairway. I like the height on this one. It's going to drop down nicely, get a little bit of a skip since it is a fast disc, but it kind of compacts into the ground and leaves me inside the circle looking at about a 25-footer. This one is still a tester, but like I said, I felt good after that first putt, so I was able to capitalize on the second one as well and move up to 17 under par. Hole 3, 360 feet. This one's honestly pretty similar to hole 2. If you throw the exact same shot, you're looking at a pretty similar putt. The only real difference on this hole is this concrete culvert you see right there. That is out of bounds, so if you don't get it high enough and you kind of challenge that, you might find yourself OB. And then on this one, the basket is elevated, so you want to be as close as possible to make the putt seem a little bit easier. So since it's a very similar shot, I'm definitely grabbing the same disc. I'm grabbing the Zeus here, and I'm choosing to line up on the right of the tee box. We do have it marked off there. It's just a little bit more sturdy footing and less slippery. This one, I didn't quite get wide enough, and I'm going to find myself in between circle 1 and circle 2 looking at a very difficult putt on an elevated basket. I gave that one a good bid, but it was a little bit to the right of the pole and did not stick. but I will happily take a par on this one with a drive that was a little bit off. Moving on to hole 4, this one is 381 feet. Again, you really want to throw a pretty similar shot to hole 2 and hole 3, but this one has a giant bushy tree on the right that we are flying past right now. You want to stay wide of that one, and a lot of players have a tendency to not trust their disc wide enough and challenge that tree. So my number one objective when I'm looking at this hole is put it wide, throw your disc, trust your disc. Don't even look at that tree. So again, same Zeus here. This has a nice, good, stable finish. And aim wide and high. This one was exactly where I wanted it. You can see it's starting to hyzer now. And a great skip and roll. And I'm going to have not even really a putt. So this is a really good, well-executed shot here that I'm very happy with. And we're moving on to hole 5. This one is 340 feet, dead straight. The tree that you see on the right, it's about 100 feet short of the basket, and it is a mandatory, so you have to go left of it. If you don't get to that tree, you're not going to make the birdie, so you want to make sure you still have some height left on the shot when it's passing that tree. This one is also elevated, and I think it plays a bit longer than it says. I'm grabbing my buzz here, but I was kind of indecisive between the buzz and the stalker. I ended up going with the buzz because it is more direct, and I told myself just throw it a little bit harder than you think. Still not quite hard enough. I'm a little bit short of the basket and about 45 feet to the right. I missed this putt, and this is actually for par. Easy par, but where I landed myself was definitely out of birdie position. 3 feet, this is the first par 4 of the round. This one has a lot of different options. You can go left, up the middle, or you can go right. I choose this right path that the drone is flying over. I like it for a very safe play, just a nice straight shot that hyzers out, pretty similar to the shots I've already been throwing this round, so I feel warmed up. And then I can kind of decide from there, do I have enough distance to go for this basket, or do I want to play safe for the par 4? So I'm trying to put myself in as good of a position as possible. So I'm really trying to rip this one. This is my Zeus. And I put a little bit more hyzer on it than I wanted, so it didn't get as much forward penetration. I'm going to be a little bit out of position, but I'm still going to try to put a nice, good power shot up the right side, knowing that on a pure hyzer I probably don't have the distance, but we'll see what I can work out. So a little bit short of birdie position. I'm not even going to really mess with this one with this elevated pin and OB behind it, so I just lay it up underneath and we'll settle for the easy par here. Moving on to hole 7, this one's 645 feet, another par 4. This is one of the easier par 4s, I think. If you get in a good position off the tee, just nice and straight, and you don't challenge those trees on the left, you're going to have a relatively easy shot. However, if you do hyzer one too much, you're going to be in those trees, and then this last tree right here that we're flying past over the sidewalk is a mandatory that you have to go right of, and so it makes your second shot a little bit more difficult, and you really have to throw a severely overstable disc. So I'm throwing my straighter Zeus here and trusting it wide, knowing that it won't flip over, but it will ride straight for a while. And this is exactly what I wanted out of this shot, nice and straight. And I find myself dead smack in the middle of the fairway where I can just throw a pretty straight shot to the basket from here. This one is my zone. I'm trying to throw it nice and straight and let it hyzer on its own, but my release was a little bit more hyzered than I wanted. Still, I find myself on the circle's edge, but again, at these elevated baskets, they seem to make putts seem longer than they are, so I wasn't stoked with how far away I was, but again, my putt was feeling pretty good, so I was able to capitalize on this putt right here and card another birdie. Here we are on hole 8. This is one of the 2 water shots that we have all around. This one carries water for about 300 feet, and then you have 60 feet of land to cover once you cross that water. Some players do decide to go to the right and lay up. I, however, think it's a relatively easy shot if you trust your disc. I'm going with a buzz here, and I know that I can throw a buzz 300 feet straight. So I'm trying not to even think that there's water there. That's kind of the part of the mental game that gets in your head on these type of holes. If you stare at the water, it seems more scary. So I found myself about 15 feet away and was able to card another birdie, moving myself up to 20 under par. And we're headed into hole 9. This one is 324 feet. This is actually, I think, my favorite hole on the course. I like the way it looks when you walk up to the tee. It kind of feels unlike the rest of the course. You see quite a few trees that you have to shape a shot under. There's a low ceiling, and there's water hazard to the left, and there's an OB sidewalk to the right. So this one's really fun to throw. But this one, again, I'm kind of in between discs. Do I want to throw a buzz or do I want to throw a stalker? Stalker, I kind of have to tone back on, and the buzz, I really have to power. So I chose the buzz on this one, just trying to power it, but it came out a little bit early on a hyzer. Honestly, I'm glad that I chose the buzz on this shot though, because if I did that with the stalker, that would have found the water, but the mid-range just slid into the ground and stayed there. But unfortunately, I did not put up a good bid from there. That was one of my worst feeling putts of the round. I was indecisive whether I should jump putt or step putt, and so it kind of came out a little wobbly, and I had to settle for that par there. Hole 10, we got another par 4, 651 feet. This one, again, is a low ceiling shot that you really want to get as much distance as possible, but with it being low ceiling and this side hill right here, it's really difficult to get a far shot off. But if you do get a far shot about where this dirt patch is right here, you can get this 3, and I think, to be honest, it's a bonus birdie. That right side where those trees are going to hinder any shots from progressing forward. And if you do happen to go through those trees, there is OB on the right side there. So I am finishing up a snack, as you can see. Nice shot, GKPro. And grabbing my straightest Zeus, throwing it on a hyzer flip that's going to ride to the right and challenge those branches and slide just under them. This was a perfect height, and I find myself in a very good position. I actually think this is the best position I've ever been in on this hole. And from here, I'm going with a Z stalker. I'm sorry, this is my banger. I'm sorry about that. This is a nice nose up glidey putter, and I'm finding myself a little bit outside the circle deep. I was between the buzz and the banger on this one, but I decided to go with the banger because I'm going to throw that a few holes from now, and I wanted to get a little warm-up shot with it because I hadn't thrown it yet this round. Again, another poor bid from 45 feet. This one again was in my head. Do I want to jump putt or step putt? And I missed again. Tapped in the easy par, but I am still thinking about that common mistake. I need to practice this is what I'm thinking. So we're going into hole 11, 543 feet. This one's a par 4. And this one, as you can see, 543 feet. I think a lot of people misjudge how to play this hole. None of us women can reach this hole. So why would we grab a driver and challenge the OB? This is the tightest hole on the course as far as OB. It's left and right, very close OB. So I'm down stepping to a buzz, and I'm just trying to throw it 300 feet, and then I know I only have a 240-foot shot from there, and I never am going to even get close to out of bounds. So I think this is a really good play on this hole, and I feel very confident in my game plan. You can see some of my competitors' drives in front of me, but I'm not really worried about that because now I'm throwing a 240-foot shot with this banger that I just got some practice with on the last hole. nice and straight. And I actually almost made that one, but had a little bit too much speed on it. Again, I find myself outside the circle deep. This disc goes quite a bit farther than I give it credit for. It just glides forever. This one I felt really good about, especially after those last two poor bids from this range. I told myself, you don't need to jump it, just step it. And I found myself right in the center of the chains. I was very happy with that recovery. Hole 12, 282 feet. This is the second of the water carries of the course. And this one is elevated and it's uphill from where you tee off. So it might play more like 320. This one I'm throwing my banger. And if you guys watched round 2, you saw that I threw a banger in the water. So this is actually my backup banger. I got a lot of practice in with it before the round, and I'm loving how it's flying right now. Nice and stable finish because it's newer. So it's stabling out at the end, which was perfect for this hole. I could really rely on it, put a nice amount of power on it, and know it wasn't going to flip. And I'm able to card a birdie here, 2 consecutive birdies to move me up to 22 under par. Only 4 shots ahead of Jennifer Allen, though. I feel like I'm playing really good at this point, and Jen is still right behind me. We're both playing really solid golf, and it's really awesome to have this battle going. And now we take a long walk back across, and we head to hole 13. This one carries water, but only for about 60 to 80 feet. The water's right off the tee pad. So as long as you don't turn your wrist over, you will be fine. You're carrying over land for most of the flight. If you have to throw an approach, though, if you throw it a little bit too hot, the water is very close behind the basket. So that is one dangerous element to this hole that you have to consider. On this one, I'm going with a Zeus, low flat shot, and this is the best I've ever thrown this hole. I was so happy with how this disc came out of my hand. I'm actually inside the circle looking at a 28-footer for birdie. I've never actually birdied this hole in competition since I've been playing here in 2011. So I was pretty nervous walking up to this putt, but when I approached my lie, I told myself, don't be nervous, just be excited, use that excitement and get this birdie. Stop dreaming about it and just make it happen. So I was really excited to make that one and get my 3rd birdie in a row. And now we're moving on to hole 14, which is another par 4. This is 655 feet, and there's a new mandatory on this hole this year that you have to go on the straight path, and then there's another mandatory that we're flying past right now that's keeping you playing on the left side of the fairway, so you can't just throw some big hyzers. And this OB wall on the left side really makes this hole even more difficult because you have to throw left side and there's OB on the left, so it really makes you control your angles, especially on this skippy grass out here. So I'm going with my Zeus and I'm using the left side of the pad, kind of a cheater gap, I would say. This is something that I wasn't practicing until the day before the tournament. I didn't even see that option, but I realized, you know, if you step to the left in that dirt that they've roped off for us, it actually still allows you to use that left side or that right side. From here, it skipped a little too much, so I'm forced to go wide hyzer with a Raptor, and I was aiming at that white eucalyptus tree that's about 70 feet from the basket, just knowing that I was going to get a skip with that Raptor. Found myself 30 feet long, but was able to connect on another solid birdie putt. I felt really good about this one. I feel like I've had a lot of putts this distance this round, and it just feels so good with putting with the Fierce, feeling very confident on the green, and honestly just excited. I think for a while I was kind of scared of the basket, and with the Fierce in my bag, I feel excited to putt again. So I think that translates into some good scores. Hole 15, this one's 450 feet. It's a par 4 that I don't think is eagleable for the women. So this one, to be honest, it's also pretty hard to get a bogey on this one. I think this one is kind of a tweener hole that if you don't 3 it, you feel like something went wrong. So you're just trying to get as far as you can, wide open shot, and then make your approach as easy as possible. This one I'm going with a Zeus as hard as I can, wide and high. And this is my most stable Zeus, so that when I hit the ground, I hopefully get a few skips. And I do. And that's about as good as I feel I could have thrown this shot, and I still find myself well outside circle 2. So that's kind of what I mean when I say it's a tweener hole. I do have my putters in my hand, and I'm lining up with a putting stance, but I know there's pretty slim chance I'm going to make that. That was actually quite a bit better of a run than I even anticipated. But I do not connect and will take a birdie, but like I said, I don't think it's gettable even with the best of the drives. Hole 16, this one is such a fun hole, 390 feet. It plays up towards where all the vans park. This Tour Life van situation has gotten out of control. You guys can see all these vans lined up. So that's kind of the aiming point. I'm aiming towards that U-Haul on a flat shot, and I'm trying to keep it to where it rides to the right for a moment, because you guys see the slope. It goes from right to left downhill. So if you don't get it wide enough or straight enough, it is going to go OB on the left side. So I'm grabbing my straight Zeus here and aiming at that U-Haul, like I said, trying to find the ground softly and skid up that hill. And this shot was awesome, and it felt so good to hear the crowd clapping that loud. It almost felt like the last hole of the tournament, the way everybody reacted. So that was a good little birdie to grab and a little confidence boost going into these last 2 holes, realizing at this point, man, I'm putting together a pretty good round, not knowing exactly what my score is, but realizing, wow, I haven't bogeyed yet, and I think I've gotten a lot of birdies. So at this point, I know I'm doing good, and I want to capitalize here on hole 17, which, in my opinion, I think is the easiest hole of the course. I'm grabbing my banger here, knowing I've thrown it a little bit too hot the past couple times, so trying to throw it a little bit slower so I don't have a challenging putt. Find myself about 15 feet left, and I'm able to capitalize on a pretty easy putt here, moving myself to 27 under par. And remember, I started the round at 15 under, so I know right now I'm shooting 12 under par. And this hole, hole 18, is not really a hole that I'm considering even playing for a birdie. I told myself in practice there is no situation where I will go for this triple mando. It's a 381-foot hole with OB short, left, right, and deep, and a triple mando that sits about 80 feet short of the basket. So I'm just grabbing my banger GT here, and I'm trying to throw it about 300 feet dead straight and land just short of the mando, and then just jump putt up there to take an easy par and finish out a good round. The shot was perfectly executed right where I wanted, right in the center of the mando. No obstacles, and a very short distance to get up and down to shoot a 12 under par. And at this moment, I'm starting to realize something special just happened. Terry Miller's here. All the cameras are coming my way. People are starting to give me fist bumps, high fives, and I'm starting to realize that I just put together a 12 under par, and Terry Miller actually breaks the news to me that it's one of the highest rated rounds by a woman ever shot, coming in at 10:57 unofficially. I'm very, very happy with this performance, and I'm so excited to have this coverage to watch back. Wow. So I hope that was as exciting for you guys to watch as it was for me. It was really cool to see it from third person perspective and relive those moments. Again, one of the best rated rounds ever shot by a woman. So I'm so honored to add my name onto that list at 10:57 unofficially. And some of those shots I felt like I was out of body. So it was really cool to watch it back. And I really, once again, want to thank GKPro for this awesome coverage. And one more time, thank you to my Patreons for making this possible. This is a project I'm really excited about, and I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. Let me know in the comments below how you're liking this, and give it a thumbs up if you're excited to see round 4 and how it concludes. Make sure you guys hit the bell for alerts so you can see when that episode drops.